talking about someone not just armed, but with those possibly explosives in the car?
It absolutely does, and it also plays into the tactics as to what officers are going to do. I would doubt that they would engage in a pit maneuver if they had that information at hand, because you don't know what can happen there. Generally speaking, when you know there's an armed person in the car, you don't engage in pit maneuvers because you don't want to force a deadly confrontation like that. Again, wrong side of the road here in opposing traffic, just crazy driving here. But when watch commanders are weighing the decision whether to pursue or to fall back, they're looking at the totality of the circumstances. And in this case, when you have armed suspects in the car, if you pull back and they get out on foot, have you endangered the public even more? So that's why they're going to continue to pursue in this particular case. But very dangerous for everybody involved, including the officers that are pursuing, because they have to watch for cross traffic. They're listening to the radio. They've got a lot going on in that car right now.
No question. Now they're in North Hills.
Wow.
And again, squeezing past that truck there, just really no regard, and just surprised that something hasn't happened before now. But when you look at things like this, you certainly hope that the innocent people out there are not harmed in any way. But I'm just surprised how, and maybe people don't know, sometimes they're not, they could be listening to music or radio or some kind and just not even know that this is going on, because to see somebody driving like this, not to just pull over and get out of the way, I know that's what I would do. I imagine anybody would.
There's a lot that goes into it. What most people don't realize is that the police units usually outrun their sirens at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. So when you're at 60, 70 miles an hour, the people that you're approaching aren't going to hear the siren really until you've passed. So they've got to be heads up. They've got to be, anytime people have their, can have earbuds in or can be talking on the phone, they're distracted in some way. They might not see or hear it. So please, just pay attention. When you see a vehicle like this coming up behind you, just get out of the way and wait for the cops to go by.
Well, we're hoping that this comes to an end in a peaceful manner. But when you see this driver going at these speeds now, 50 miles an hour in the North Hills area, I guess it's the left blinker now that's on, Pat, right? Earlier it was the hazards, right?
No, the hazards are still on.
It is still the hazards.
Yeah, both of them are still on, as if that means anything at this point. And to add insult, I mean, this person is, I don't know if they're agitated there, Darren, but now they're, they've got their hands flailing out of the driver's side, and we saw them, they had the sunroof open at one point, and we thought flipping the bird to the helicopter. So that just, doesn't make the situation any better for him, that's for sure. And I say him because I'm assuming that's a guy driving this car. Well, this is the slowest we've seen.
A male driver, but we don't know the level of intoxication or drug inducement of this suspect either, and that could play into the erratic behavior. It could play into their feelings of invincibility, that they can get away and that they can do whatever they want. We just don't know.
You guess what we just heard? That LAPD are on the phone with this person, trying to negotiate. What could they be talking about, Darren?
Yeah, what's the negotiation?
Well, we're down to 10 miles an hour here, so the speed has certainly slowed down considerably. Really, they'll be talking to the suspect, and again, it's not negotiation, because we're not going to tell this guy, hey, pull over, and we're going to, you're not going to go to jail. It's communication and trying to tactfully talk this person out of their current behavior and in the handcuffs to get them to pull over and to surrender peacefully. Usually talking to them about the fact that there is a benefit to pulling over, and the longer this goes on, the more charges that are going to be placed against them. And sometimes these high-speed pursuits and the danger in the disregard for public safety brings even higher charges than some of the underlying crimes a lot of times, especially when you're talking about low-grade felonies and misdemeanors. Obviously, here it's an armed suspect involved in a robbery and assault with a deadly weapon, but they're trying to get him to pull over and surrender peacefully.
Yeah, I think you're right there, because that's one thing that we've both noticed here is just the speeds have definitely slowed down quite a bit, and we're not seeing a lot of that erratic driving. As you said, negotiating, perhaps convincing him to slow down, because if he does hit somebody or create some injury to somebody on the street there, the charge will definitely go up a lot higher. So let's see what's going to happen here over the next few minutes. Let's hoping that they can still keep him on the phone long enough for him to convince to pull over now in the Van Nuys area.
And you know what we've noticed throughout this pursuit, Darren? It's not like he's in an area where there aren't that many people. We have seen residential neighborhoods, a lot of folks out on the streets. And of course, this is the Labor Day weekend, but there's a lot of traffic out there. And this person just doesn't seem to care the way that they've been driving in and out of traffic like that. And again, we do know, or we have heard, that there could be high explosives, high-powered explosives or weapons in this vehicle, which makes it even more dangerous and why police really want to bring this to an end. And Darren, you said that could be a reason why they have not done a pit maneuver. Okay, now they really seem to be slowing down. I almost thought they were going to stop there for a moment.
Yeah,
well, they are.
Especially even at this low speeds, they could engage in a pit maneuver, but they're not. It's most likely because they know the suspect's armed and there could be explosive there. But now it's just a matter of seeing if he's going to comply or if it's going to end up in a barricade. And then it almost looks like he's recording with his phone or still talking maybe to dispatch or somebody.
Yeah, his phone is in his hand, that's for sure. And he was turning behind to the officers that are following him, making some sort of gesture. We can't figure out what that was, but we got a pretty good shot of the driver there. He's wearing a red baseball cap, and he's still going there.
Yeah.
He hasn't stopped, but he has slowed down considerably. This is about the slowest speed that we've seen him since really this pursuit began, and this has been going on for quite some time now, certainly more than 20 minutes or so. And again, gesturing to police officers, we do understand that they were in communication with this driver. And as you mentioned, Darren, you would know what they're trying to tell him to do, to pull over and give himself up, because there's only, the way this is going to go, they're going to get him one way or the other.
Yeah.
They have the license plate, they're going to track from the air, even if they pulled off the ground units, but he seems to want to talk with police.
Well, it kind of appears that way, but he still has not indicated that he's willing to completely stop and surrender, which is what we need to see, to know that he's going to comply and that this is going to come to a peaceful resolution. Now, it almost appears like he's looking to open the door from the outside, which is an instruction we would give, but now here he moves off again. But in a high-risk stop like this, we would tell the driver to make sure that the car's in park, to put the keys outside the vehicle, to reach out, usually with their left hand, and open the car door from the outside. But you can see the officers are set back much further than they normally would be in a high-risk stop, and that's probably because of the belief that there may be explosives and certainly firearms in the vehicle.
Yeah, it looks like he's reaching for the door handle there, Pat. At least it looks like it for a moment there. We do know his hands are definitely not on the steering wheel, but...
So my guess is that he's probably still has the car in drive, and that's so it's locked, and he can't get it open. So he needs to put the car into park, which will then, in most vehicles, at the same time, unlock the doors. But he's having trouble. So that brings me to wonder if this is actually his vehicle, or is this possibly a stolen car?
Well, you know something? We were talking about that earlier.
That's right.
And Juan was mentioning, well, why would somebody be involved in an armed robbery with a vehicle like that, a 7 Series BMW? And, we talked about it. This may not be, this may be a stolen vehicle anyway.
Yeah, it could be stolen. It could be a rental that hasn't been returned. It could be something that he borrowed from a friend or a family member and just is not familiar with the operating controls of the vehicle.
Can you imagine, Darren? Now, we can't tell, but because he's been stopped for a while, I guess the officers wouldn't be out in a neighborhood telling people to stay inside. I'm just concerned about if there are like explosives or high-powered weapons in that car. Now, you've got neighbors. That's a residential area. You've got people in homes and apartment buildings.
Yeah, in a situation like this, where the vehicle is now stopped and the tactical flight officer in the helicopter isn't concerned with watching the vehicle in traffic, they very well be making announcements over the PA from the helicopter for people to stay indoors, to close their doors and their windows. Now he's got the door open.
Okay.
Here we go.
Wow.
He's got his hands up.
What a change, huh?
I guess he's pulling his shirt up to show he doesn't have a weapon in his pants.
That would be a command. That would be a command from the officers to lift up his shirt to show his waistband so that we can see that there's no weapon there. He is still holding his phone. looks like he may be talking to somebody, or I don't know, is he live streaming this or what?
He just
He
slammed it to the
slammed it
ground.
down on the ground, Darren.
Yep.
So he's
There we go.
angry.
He's complying though.
Yep. So it certainly looks like we're going to see this come to a peaceful resolution here, fortunately.
He's got his hands behind his back. He's spread eagle.
Yeah.
And you're right, Darren, because this, we were hoping that it didn't go another way because there were just too many other people, in fact, out there on the roads that could have been involved. Well, they've got him now.
Thank God, right? My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yep. And you'll
Nobody
see that
injured.
the officers on the right, because we don't know if there's only one person in the car, if there's additional, they're going to move up very slowly. They'll make commands for anybody else in the vehicle to step out. And if that person doesn't, if they have a canine on scene, they'll probably deploy the canine to the vehicle. And if not, they'll make a slow approach and clear that vehicle to make sure there's nobody else inside.
Yeah, the situation, Darren, definitely de-escalated quite a bit just a few minutes ago. Definitely was tooth and nail here, waiting to see what he was going to do. But apparently he got on the phone with LAPD, and they convinced him to slow down enough. And now he is in handcuffs there, bringing this to an end. And officers, I guess, are still checking out the car.
Yeah,
right?
the suspect
You're still
vehicle.
playing the car, yeah.
That
But
BMW.
you bring a very good point, Juan, that most people don't realize is that behind the scenes during these pursuits, there's other people working to bring it to a successful conclusion without anybody getting hurt. And whoever was talking to him from LAPD had to have done a phenomenal job, because we saw that pursuit de-escalate very, very quickly once we knew he was on the phone with them.
And we see some other people now. We saw someone go by on a scooter, another resident walking by in the neighborhood. So we're glad as well. Okay, sorry you caught me. I usually turn around and watch our big screen back here to get a better sight of the video. So we're going to call that a code 4. Darren, if you can still hear us, we want to thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Juan. Take care.
All right. And we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with more news.